Hi there. So let's get this up a little bit. Okay. So today's meditation exercise was to think about the five poisons and five poisons, in my life. So, what are the five poisons? Anger, jealousy, pride, ignorance, and attachment. And um, that's a big topic. I can't do that in 20 minutes. So, one thing that did come up, I was very distracted, as you can tell, as I can't get my thoughts together this morning. And I had to stop in the middle of it and go to the bathroom. And I got a phone call, and I had to answer it because it was a orthodontist calling me back for my daughter. I had to arrange an appointment, which was complicated because they had a few conflicts, and so we had to go through a few different options. And then finally, I have a very big day tomorrow and a very big day on Friday. Both days are like, all right. And that's fine because everything's going to get done and everything that needs to be done and everybody's needs are going to be taken care of. So it's great. So I didn't really think about the five poisons much as I was interrupted, but I did think about it a little bit. And I know that I have anger, and my anger is quiet and subtle. And I mean, we know that people who are depressed, as in me over the last 2 years, was in a serious depression, right? Um, turn their anger inwards. But what does that actually look like? Like, what does it mean? You know, I don't really know because I don't really pay attention to it. I just kind of like gloss over my anger and push it aside instead of really dealing with it. And I think my big anger that sent me into the depression this time was my conflict in the PhD process. I was angry and frustrated. I was frustrated with how it was going because I didn't feel that I was getting the attention, uh, the the notice, and the feedback and the help that I required. Um, so my anger arose out of that feeling of neglect, you know, and my anger was towards my supervisor. It still is. There's part of me that still believes that the teacher and the student, that there's a contract there, an unspoken contract where the teacher is supposed to take care of the student, um, and not neglect them. Um, and I do feel like I did my part in reaching out for help, but that the help that I was getting was superficial and not really attentive to my actual needs. And I wasn't able to, for whatever reason, and I think it's my pride. I think it's my pride and my ego that stopped me from being really clear about what I was expecting and what I was wanting from the relationship. Because if I had been very clear, then the conflict would have surfaced earlier, and then I would have been able to make the choice to withdraw earlier. But because, isn't this complicated and weird? I was more willing to undergo neglect but pretend I wasn't, and that I was fine, and that I was competent, than to realized that that was not what that relationship was about from that other person's point of view. I was more willing to actually undergo neglect and be in denial than to realize and call out the neglect and say, I'm not getting from you what I need or what I want. And then that person would have had the opportunity to say, that's not how it's supposed to be from my point of view. And then I would have been able to say, then this is not for me. And I would have been able to withdraw. But because of my pride wanted me to have that PhD, and my pride wanted me to have it without needing a lot of support, I only did the surface level of connecting with my supervisor, and I only got the surface level feedback, and I got to spin my wheels in this little wheel of denial, and like got to feel kind of like neglected, and you know but it was my own doing that kept me there, because I could have walked away sooner, you know and I could have known the truth of our relationship sooner, and understood, like, or I could have gone searching for another supervisor who wanted to dive in deep to my childhood trauma and like see what artistic thing could be made out of it with me. Like, there are people who want to know, oh, okay, here, the trauma of growing up very poor, uh, in an extended family that is, spread across 3 countries, like that kind of stuff, like, I don't know. I mean, it had some merit, I still think it had merit, my project, my self study wasn't just an ego trip, but it turned into one. Maybe it was seen as just a little ego trip, which I am a little bit disgusted by it being seen that way. Like, if that's how it was seen, you know? Anyway, I have a lot more reflection to do on it. There's still some really uncomfortable feelings there. Um, but pride is definitely in the mix, and mm, ignorance. What is this? Is this a spider hanging in the middle of the air? Yes, of course it is. There's a miniature spider hanging in the middle of the air. Right here. There, I got it. And now I put it over there. Right, there's a spider hanging in my face like every single time I try to make a serious video. Not every single time, but I'm just astonished by how many spiders are in this garage. Okay, so anger, jealousy, pride, ignorance, and attachment. Attachment to the outcome, which wasn't certain. Attachment to my own ego, you know, a lot of pride, a lot of pride, unable to ask for help, the right kind of help, unable to admit when I needed to withdraw. I mean, I dropped a lot of hints, but I didn't have the heart to heart open conversation that I should have had. I didn't even really know why I was doing a PhD. I was even motivated to apply for the PhD out of pride. So it was doomed. It was definitely doomed. And I didn't feel right in the PhD because even though I have ego and even though I have a lot of pride, I'm uncomfortable with ego and pride. I'm not comfortable. Some people are prideful and proud of it. I'm not. I'm prideful and I'm trying to hide it because I know it's bad and I want to be perceived as good and not bad. All right, I'll stop there. My computer also wanted to stop there. All right. So I hope you're having a great time today and are not, wrestling with deep questions. But every once in a while, we have to put time aside to wrestle with these deeper questions, and that's what I'm up to lately. For the next week or so, I'm going to be thinking about anger, jealousy, pride, ignorance, and attachment. And it's part of a disciplined, methodical practice of meditation. And it's uncomfortable and I hate it. Okay, bye now. Hope you're doing better than me. Bye.